The phone hit the floor before I even realized my hands were shaking. My mother's last words still echoing in my ears. Don't come back. We're done with you. 12 hours later, as dawn crept through the blinds, my phone lit up nonstop with missed calls and frantic messages from the same people who had just erased me from their lives. Before I continue, if stories like this grip you and remind you how unpredictable family can be, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps these stories reach the people who need them most. It all started the night before, on a cold December evening that felt heavier than usual. I'd come home for what I thought would be a quiet holiday visit. No drama, no expectations, just dinner with my parents and my younger brother in the house I grew up in. But from the moment I walked in, I knew something was off. My mom barely looked at me. My dad kept clearing his throat like he was rehearsing something he didn't want to say. My brother stayed glued to his phone, pretending not to hear the tension crackling through the room. We sat at the table, the clink of cutlery sounding louder than it should have, until my mom finally broke the silence. "So," she said sharply, "are you going to tell us, or should we hear it from someone else?" I blinked, confused. "Tell you what," I asked. That's when she dropped it. She had found out I was planning to move out of state for a new job. A better job. One I hadn't told them about yet because I wanted to be sure it was real. To her, it was betrayal. To me, it was survival. Her voice rose with every sentence. She accused me of abandoning the family, of thinking I was better than them, of being ungrateful for everything they'd done. I tried to explain, tried to tell her I was drowning where I was, that I needed a chance to build something of my own. My dad finally spoke, but instead of calming things down, he made it worse. "Your mother's right," he said quietly. "If you walk out now, don't bother coming back." That was when something inside me cracked. Years of swallowing my feelings, of being the one who always compromised, came rushing out. I told them how alone I'd felt in that house, how every decision I made was criticized, how staying had been slowly killing me. My mom stood up so fast her chair scraped across the floor. "Then leave," she shouted. "Don't come back." Those were the words, final, cold. And when I looked at her face, I knew she meant them. I didn't pack properly. I just grabbed my coat and my bag, my heart pounding as I stepped out into the freezing night. The door slammed behind me, and for the first time in my life, I didn't turn back. I drove until the lights of my hometown disappeared, pulled over at a rest stop, and cried until my chest hurt. Part of me expected my phone to ring, for someone to tell me it was a mistake, that they didn't mean it. It didn't. I spent the night in my car, watching the sky slowly lighten, telling myself I'd made the right choice, even though it felt like my world had ended. Then, just after sunrise, my phone exploded with notifications, missed calls, texts, voicemails, all from home. My first instinct was anger. I almost ignored them. But curiosity got the better of me, and I opened the first message from my dad. "Please call us. Something's wrong." My stomach dropped. I called back, my voice steady even though my hands weren't. My mom answered, and she didn't sound like the woman who'd screamed at me hours before. She was crying. "We need you," she said. "Your brother, he's gone." It turned out that after I left, my brother had overheard everything. He'd seen the way they pushed me out, the way they chose control over compassion. And instead of coming to talk to them, he packed a bag and disappeared. He left a note saying he couldn't stay in a house where love came with conditions. The irony was bitter. The son they never worried about was the one they lost overnight. My parents spent the early hours of the morning calling hospitals, friends, even the police. And when fear replaced anger, they realized what they'd done to me too. When I walked back into that house later that day, it felt smaller, quieter. My mom ran to me, grabbing my coat like she was afraid I'd vanish again. "I'm sorry," she kept repeating, her voice breaking. My dad stood behind her, red, shame written all over his face. They told me how empty the house felt without either of us, how they finally understood that pushing their children away didn't keep them safe, it just left them alone. I listened, but I didn't rush to forgive. Something fundamental had changed. I helped them search for my brother, make calls, retrace steps. By evening, we found him staying with a friend, safe but determined not to come home yet. That night, we sat around the same table, but it felt different. My mom looked at me and said, "When I told you not to come back, I thought I was protecting our family." All I did was prove how fragile it really is. I told her I wasn't sure I could live under the same roof again, not like before. Silence hung in the air, heavy but honest. Finally, my dad nodded. "Then don't," he said. "Go build your life. Just don't disappear from ours." It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was a start. By morning, they weren't just begging me to return to the house. They were begging me not to leave their lives. I didn't move back in. I took the job. I moved away. But something shifted that night. Boundaries were drawn. Respect was earned, not demanded. And my family learned the hard way that words spoken in anger can come dangerously close to becoming permanent. Sometimes I still hear my mom's voice saying, "Don't come back," but now it's followed by another memory. One of her whispering through tears, "Please don't leave us." And that contrast reminds me of a truth we often forget. Love isn't proven by how tightly you hold on, but by whether you're willing to let go without cutting someone off forever.